My first trip to Patagonia, there was a photograph that showed this wall. As a newbie, my first round there, nobody was interested in telling me about this sweet spot.
The first time I heard about Rio Turbio, I felt like as if I was getting let in on a bit of a secret. Paul had like a glint in his eyes, so I knew it was going to be good. The background was that there was backcountry big walls, huge approach, a miniature Yosemite type area back there. That was all I needed to hear. Coming back to Turbio had a lot to do with circumstances coming together. TERYX was interested in making a film about a really cool remote place, and it had been in the back of my head for close to 5 years at that point. As soon as you get on that boat and you're heading across the lake, kind of a great feeling, really. So much preparation, a little list and checking off things and looking at a big pile of gear, re-looking at it again, eventually shoving it into packs and saying, well, that's what we got.
That's your blue.
Finally getting on that boat and unplugging is like a breath of fresh air.
We had organized to meet some gauchos. We got dropped off of the boat and we waited for these gauchos to show up. We knew from last time that they were going to be late. They were about 7 hours behind schedule. That's how gauchos roll. It's part of gauching. Finally got picked up by these guys and they brought us up the valley over a couple days. You can tell these guys are definitely throwbacks to the bit of an old school culture. It's all homemade materials, all leather straps that they've made themselves. The metal has been hewn by some local smith. Saddle seats are wool, like from sheep. They double as a sleeping arrangement for the gauchos when they go out into the bush. That's their bed setup. Badass.
Yeah, horse riding is definitely a lot of work. The constant jarring nature of it all hurts a bit. They saddle up to the river and you're pulling everything up like, oh, I hope they can make it. Essentially thinking of your exit plan in case one of them falls over. And if they step on a wasp nest, they start galloping. It's really intense.
First day we went for about 4 or 5 hours, and then the next morning we started quite early and did almost a 10-hour day. That's when they drop us off at this hut.
I'm kind of fascinated by gaucho culture and these guys. It's not every day that you come across people that go into town once a year and they're out there in their own world.
They didn't remember us from last time until Will actually had a picture on his iPhone. I couldn't believe it. The weather looked a little threatening, and it did actually start pouring rain 3 in the morning or something like that. And the gauchos were in a rush to get out of there. The rivers start to swell and their horses aren't going to make it.
Luckily, the rain cleared up and we're going to pump our first load into Pedro's hut.
Shuttling through the bamboo with all the gear, it's just the worst type of bush crashing. It gets slippery when it's wet. You push it, it comes back and dings you. When it falls over and dies, it creates these leg hold traps. Cut it with the machete, it leaves a punji spike so you can impale yourself on it. If you got impaled way out there, you'd be in big, big trouble. It was about 20 kilometers to the high base camp. We did at least 4 laps up and back. Every step up that valley, you have a moment of feeling further and further away from the civilized world. Second shack was built by this guy named Pedro Luti, who was the original pioneer. He's the one who took the original photos. He put those photos of the Mariposa on the wall. It's incredible that this thing is there. Nobody had been there for years. The roof had collapsed. But there was a bit of material and we patched it back up and tried to buff the place up a bit. But the real bonus was that there's a wood stove in there and we could cook pizzas. So that was good for morale. It was really nice to find it, just to know that we were on the right track. A hut that's dilapidated in a Tyrolean traverse that you have to put your life on the line on in a different scene.
Trusting the Tyrolean traverse is an awful thing. It's like this tree could rip out on the other end or this baling wire could rip and you plunge into the icy water with a giant pack on.
So right now we're debating the integrity of this table tied off to this tree that's rotten. So we're debating whether or not somebody should swim across. It's up in the air. We're in the discussion phase, but it's less than ideal.
It's pretty unsavory to have to do that in the middle of nowhere, again, where the consequences of failure there would actually be fatal.
I really hate trusting things that I have no idea about, but somebody had to do it.
He brought another rope across and we fixed that there to beef up the anchors. From Pedro's to Mariposa Lake is probably about a 3-hour hike. Crest this hill and then you can see the wall.
I've been dreaming about this thing for a long, long time. But it's also probably one of the most intimidating walls I've ever seen. We are going to go take our boats across the lake and see for ourselves if we can find a safe line up it. Ski pole paddles, lightweight and multi-purpose.
I remember Paul saying, guys, get ready for a sobering view. And it was sobering.
The lake itself was kind of the last big hurdle. It was nuking wind, and you stopped paddling, you'd be making negative progress. Glaciers calving into the lake and rocks falling into it.
Here we are, about 2/3 of the way across Lago de la Mariposa.
Anything to climb here?
Oh, well, there's a really small little piece of rock.
Almost a kilometer?
It's almost a kilometer.
How's the stoke?
The stoke is super high. Super high.
One team went back and got some more gear to shuttle up the rest of the food, basically. And the other guys went ahead to fix ropes on the wall. Before we got on the wall, it was definitely still question marks. We weren't that confident that it would go. And up until the day that we decided to go for it, we still gave ourselves the option of, looking into other climbs.
Soaking wet in the lake.
We kept saying out loud, oh, we don't have to do this, if it's not safe.
Like, it's going to be a little complicated.
And I think that was just our way of reassuring ourselves. We woke up at about 3 a.m., a bit of coffee and a bit of oatmeal, and away you go. By the time we got to the top of the first rope, it was getting to be light out.
Yeah, basically just trying to do as much as we can in the half light so we have all day to fire this thing.
Matt started up this rope that he brought along. Right as he got to the lip of the roof, the rope cut and he took a screamer.
I was jugging our static line and sheathed it. It fell about 20 feet before my jugs jammed. That's a rope. My mom would be bummed.
And that's the type of thing that can actually shut down your day. You can be like, you know what, this is not on, let's go home. I think with experience, you come to realize that that type of thing does happen. It's rare, but it's not going to compromise what's to come.
So we need to deal with shit now. So this is going to get fixed with not to a corner.
So from there, we had to do a long horizontal traverse to get into a system of corners and cracks that we'd spied from the ground.
What he was born in Ontario to do. Out here in the turbio.
And it just flowed really smooth from there.
Paul was leading out up and right. As he was climbing, these gigantic condors were swirling around, and these things are huge. It feels like they could just pluck you off the wall if they wanted to.
It's kind of a classic of the Andes. It's almost a signature there when you get up into the mountains. It's, you're having a good day when the condors are flying around.
Wow.
So good up ahead.
That's really good. Yeah. It's incredible though, this rock. It's
So fucking good.
so good.
We were following a good corner system, and it never really blanked out on us until the very top.
We did 18 pitches. We got up to the top of the wall after 12 hours of climbing. The trickiest pitches were the first and the last ones. Mark let out. It was kind of late in the day, getting a little chilly. His progress slowed. He said there was a huge loose rock that he had to bypass.
Okay.
And he called for the extra aid climbing gear.
Okay.
He kind of slowed to a caterpillar pace. Then we heard a big whoop, and we knew he had done it.
We all seconded the pitch. It went pretty quick, and we were on the top of the wall.
Yeah, brother. Thanks. That was no joke whatsoever.
We still had a huge slope to climb. It's a pretty textbook terrain. We only had one technical ice axe between the four of us, so we definitely approached that last bit with caution. So we were able to break through that in the evening light, and we topped out on the border of Chile and Argentina. We got to the summit, just enough time to watch the sunset over the horizon.
Yeah!
Topping out that cornice and just looking around felt like such a precious gift.
It's hard not to be blown away by the power of nature and purity.
Is it going?
It's filming.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no! Yeah!
bluebird weather, get the evening sun, and we're just like poking our heads into these other valleys and just seeing like wall after wall after wall after wall.
Here we are on the top of the Mariposa. We're pretty sure no Earth people have ever been here before. And it's been 12 years of hunting for it. And here we are. Here we are in the circle. We didn't have any sleeping bags or tent. We just got into our puffy jackets. Our insulation was just the rope that we piled onto the ground. We used our chalk bags for pillows. You sleep maybe a couple hours if you're lucky, and then you kind of get up and toss and turn a bit, try to stay warm. When we awoke from the bivvy, it was Matt's birthday. You know, obviously there was no cake or candles.
The boys are kind enough to give me 1,200 milligrams of ibuprofen. Some coffee.
Happy birthday. The most meaningful gift we could give you. He said it was one of the greatest birthday gifts he'd had, just to wake up in a place like that, and it was pretty special. But there wasn't a lot of celebration. It was kind of like, let's go. The descent is often the most dangerous part of a climb. Your guard's down, you're tired. It's usually when things go wrong. You kind of have to keep your guard up and keep that edge on. Once you start heading down, it may well be because you're going downhill, but there's a lot of momentum. On the last day, we got up super early and headed down to the river, inflated the rafts, and right as we put in, the current was super strong. It spun out of control, got swamped, and we lost one of the haul bags. We contemplated jumping in after it to go get it, but I think sanity prevailed. Using rafts is not really part of a standard climbing trip. In this case, it was much more practical than having to walk out for 50 kilometers.
Rolling on the river.
We floated right to the shores of Lago Puelo, and that's where we linked up with a boat to take us home.
This kind of trip, it's not really for the specialist type climber that's just in it for a grade or in it for a wall. It's about wanting to experience the whole thing in its entirety. In a place like Turbio, just getting in there and getting out is kind of an accomplishment in itself, really.
Even though you've done something really special, you're back to a normal day again all of a sudden. It has changed you a little bit, but it kind of takes a while. These trips are so special, you kind of can reflect on them at any time and just look back and say, wow, that was a great moment.